Hi crafty friends, it's Donna here from Donna is Playing Paper, and I have a cute little Fox Reindeer Christmas card to share with you today, as well as a little hack that I'm using while I save up some money for a product I really would like to buy. Here's the hero of today's card, this little Fox Reindeer die. You could use it without the little antlers if you didn't want to make a Christmas card. And here's my hack. There are some beautiful tacky mats on the market, and I'd like to get one because I think that with all the lines and sizes that are marked on them, they'd be really useful. But until then, I noticed that they were made of photopolymer, and I have a couple of big photopolymer stamps, including this one, and so I have flipped the stamp over. I've chosen this one because it's got a very dense pattern, and so the back sits very flat, and I'm using that as my sticky mat to do my ink blending today. It's certainly much easier than holding the pieces down with my nails or chasing them all over my glass mat. I obviously don't have a very good attention to detail because whenever I have to colour or shade a critter, I always need to look them up online. I can never remember which parts are darker and lighter on the different animals. And so I googled fox and found that the top part of their faces was darker than the lower part. And so that's what I'm doing here today. The colours of ink that I've chosen are tea dye, then vintage photo for the darker brown, and candied apple in a couple of different strengths for the different parts of this dye. First of all, I'm doing the antlers and nose with a heavy hand, and then I'm going back very lightly with just the leftover ink on the inside of the ears and on the cheeks of my little fox. Next, I'm going to make a base to stick these pieces to. So I'm just using the negative space from where I die cut and tracing around the inside of that shape. And I'm cutting it out just inside the line so that when I glue everything together, none of this will stick out from behind my main front pieces. Let's get gluing, shall we? I'm using a liquid glue today, but you could use double-sided adhesive. As I glue the pieces down, I'm just letting them hang off the edges by a tiny bit so that my background piece is hidden. I can bend my photopolymer stamp to help me get the pieces off it. I love this cute little fox, but in real life, as someone that lives in the country and keeps chickens, I'm not such a fan of foxes. We have to work really hard to keep our chickens safe. And in fact, since coming back from Japan, because we haven't got our chook yard fox-proof yet, we still don't have chickens. Foxes are really smart and really bold, and you have to work hard to stay ahead of them. Now you can join in with me for a little game of where did those eyes go? At the moment you can see them both because they're white, but once I start colouring them, they stick to my Copic marker, they hide on the mat, and all in all, this proved to be a very tricky part of making the fox. It might have been easier just to cut a couple out of black card. I'm going to pop a little dab of glue in each of those little eye sockets, just to be sure that I've got the glue in the right place. I was a bit haphazard when I glued over the whole shape before. And then I'm going to freeze frame. Can you spot both eyes? Well done if you did. I was having trouble and I was right there. The eyes continued to keep me on my toes. As when I was colouring them, they flipped over and I couldn't see which side was up or down. And it probably didn't matter, but I kind of got it into my head that I wanted them to be the right way up, so that they were concave, not convex. And eventually I got them in. Pushing them into those eye holes squished a little bit of glue out, and so I'm just using my little picking tool to scrape away any extra glue. I glued the antlers onto the back, just using glue, although once I had them there I also put a little piece of tape on them to hold them in place. You don't see that in the video, but there's another piece of tape behind, just to doubly secure them. Then I'm going to clean off the back of this stamp and use it again to make my background. I'm using Evergreen Bough Distress ink here and just creating a little bit of a blended circle in the middle of my cardstock. The last time I used this blending brush, which I keep for greens, I used more of a lime green, and so you can see that the first of my blendings are a slightly different green. If I want to get it really clean, I can really rub out the brush between colours, but considering I don't have an exact idea of the colour I want, I'm fine with having a little bit of a mixed colour every time. I'm using the same Evergreen Bough Distress ink to do a little bit of spatter on this card, but I really only want it towards the middle, and so I'm just blocking off the outside of the card with a little bit of Tchaikovsky music from my last orchestra concert, so that the spatter is roughly in the middle. While that dries, I'm going to prepare my sentiment. I'm using these Merry Christmas sentiment strips, and I've chosen a black one for today's card. Now that the panel's dry, I'm going to cut it out using a stitched rectangle die, and I'm going to layer that up with a piece of red cardstock to make it very Christmassy. I like to run around the outside of any sentiments that are printed in black with my Memento Tuxedo black marker. It just helps hide the core of the cardstock. Then I'm going to pop both pieces up with foam tape, putting the Merry Christmas very slightly crooked, something that is still annoying me today, and that's the completion of this card. You can see on the side that I actually made a few of these little Fox Reindeers, and they're making their way onto more cards. Once I was cutting, I made several at once. That's all for today's card. I hope you've enjoyed it. Feel free to like and subscribe if you wish, and I'll be back soon with another video. Bye for now.